Florida homeowners are done being silenced. The corrupt HOA empires that ruled with fear, they're being ripped apart brick by brick. And but that's just the beginning, actually, because what has actually started as a battle over fines and paint colors, grass being a little bit too high, has now become a statewide revolt that is shaking political foundations all the way to Washington, D.C. And Laura Trump just sent out a warning shot saying Democrats are not just losing power, they're actually digging their own political graves with shovels. Donald Trump has already provided to them. So today, I want to share with you guys how Florida's new bill, this HB 983, it's actually triggered a tidal wave that has basically been threatening local tyrants and HOA boards, and of course, the elite power holders who thought that they were untouchable. Comment down below if you hate HOAs. Would you ever buy a home in an HOA neighborhood? Let me know, guys. And if you appreciate the daily news updates, hit the like button and subscribe. From multi-million-dollar fraud in Miami to rigged elections inside of these gated communities, to the shocking connections between HOA control and Democrat-style suppression. Guys, this is not an accidental pattern. This isn't just a local story. This is a blueprint for rebellion. So stick with me, guys, because what I'm going to share with you guys, you're going to see how President Trump's latest global moves are hitting Democrats where it hurts most, and why homeowners might be the key to basically flipping the whole game board over. But more importantly, how Florida just became ground zero for the fall of the elites. Now, guys, this is your video. If your HOA board and congressmen are doing some deviant things, they're not going to want you to see this. So make sure that you share this video with anyone you know who happens to own a home inside of an HOA. Because mark my words, guys, Florida's revolt, it's already started, and it's not going to stop here. You ever try putting together a 5,000-piece puzzle with no picture on the box? It's kind of what Medicare feels like. It's confusing, it's overwhelming, it's full of traps. Well, Chapter was created to solve that exact problem, guys. Their advisors, they take the chaos out of it by comparing every single company, every single doctor in your plan. They're making sure that your doctors are in your network and they're spotting hidden benefits that you might never find on your own. Take Julie in Kansas. She saved $400 a year. Jamie in Texas, she saved $600. That is no small change, but it's totally free and it's pressure free as well. Give our friends over at Chapter a call. Their phone number is 909-563-8279, or you can hit them up on the web at askchapter.org/Ron. Medicare doesn't have to be a puzzle. They make it easy, guys. So check this out. You probably heard the horror stories. Maybe you actually live in an HOA neighborhood and I don't know, maybe you love HOAs. I don't know. I don't know what your stance is on this, but you've probably heard at least one horror story about HOAs. But Florida has nearly 50,000 of these little power centers. Let's call them little power centers, these HOAs, right? They're making it second only to California, believe it or not. And they're supposed to protect property values. That's what they claim to do. Instead, many have turned into these unaccountable tyrants, issuing fines left and right over the pettiest of infractions. Have you ever gotten a letter from the HOA about anything? Let me know what the last letter you received was from your HOA. What were they complaining about? Did you leave your trash out for an extra hour? Did you get hit with a fine? Did you paint your front door the wrong shade of blue? Did you get a fine for it? Did you happen to ask where your dues are going? Because if you did, you might get ignored or blocked entirely. There's no transparency. There's no recourse. There's no voice. They have too much power. Or at least I think that they do. Do you think that HOAs have too much power? Now, for thousands of Floridians, and comment down below, I'm talking about Florida right now, but this is not limited to Florida by any stretch of the imagination. Comment down below what state you're watching this video from. Now, for thousands of Floridians, their own communities, they feel more like a regime than a neighborhood. And if you've ever felt like your HOA is acting like your second landlord, then you're not crazy. You're not alone. It's almost like, you could even have your home paid off and you're still being told what to do with your own asset. But if you think that's bad, wait until you hear this next one, guys. In Miami-Dade County, One HOA made national headlines for exactly why Florida is rebelling right now. At the Hammocks, the board members were arrested for stealing over $6 million from residents. So here's how they did it. They created these fake companies. They billed the HOA for services that never happened, and they funneled the money straight into their own freaking pockets. How mad would you be if you found out that was happening in your HOA? Because this just boils it pisses me off, because for example, I look at my HOA fees right now, and I'm looking at how many houses are in the neighborhood, and I'm doing the math, and I'm like, okay, if we're all paying this amount, they're collecting like multiple millions of dollars a year. Where's all this money going, right? Well, while they were robbing homeowners blind, they had the audacity to raise maintenance fees on the very people they were stealing from. And to make sure that they stayed in power, they rigged the board elections. They used nominating committees to block anybody from challenging them. The result? Well, obviously, it was a massive collapse of trust. A system that was supposed to serve homeowners was being run like a cartel. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And this is not just one isolated scandal. This is just tip of the iceberg. Comment down below if you trust your HOA, or maybe you don't trust your HOA. Just drop me a quick yes or no on that one. So what finally changed? What law is now sending shockwaves through every corrupt HOA board in the state and putting Democrats on full alert too? Well, stick with me, guys, because what I'm about to share with you guys, we're going to dive into Florida's new war chest. We're talking about the House Bill 983. This is a game-changing legislation that could end the reign of HOA tyrants forever. So we need to talk about this. So enter House Bill 983. The legislative sledgehammer that's about to shatter the corrupt foundations of Florida's HOA regime and hopefully go beyond Florida. So this bill, spearheaded by Representative Juan Carlos Porras, a Republican from Miami, does something very few pieces of legislation ever do. It hands power back to the people. So I want to break down exactly what it actually does and why HOAs are panicking. So first, if your board is corrupt or incompetent, you're not going to have to jump through flaming bureaucratic hoops anymore. HB 983 allows homeowners to remove board members by a simple majority vote, period. Also, second, before you buy a home in an HOA neighborhood, the bill forces the HOA to disclose everything up front. The rules, the fees, the potential traps, so you can walk in with your eyes wide open. Third, and this is really big, guys, local law enforcement gets the green light to investigate and audit HOAs for fraud. This means no more hiding behind closed doors or telling residents, oh, it's an internal matter. If something shady is happening, the cops could step in. And one of the most overdue reforms of all, nominating committees, the rigged gatekeepers of HOA elections, they get abolished. Now, anybody qualified, they can run for the board, not just friends of the current regime. Oh, and all the HOA meetings, they must be posted online at least 14 days in advance. No more secret votes in the dark while nobody's looking. This is how you break a cartel without firing a single shot. And this is exactly what's happening. But of course, it didn't take long for residents residents were already pissed, but you could almost predict that there would be some resistance. And HOAs with so much power, they don't want to relinquish that, because the corrupt never give up power quietly, right? You got some HOAs that are quietly trying to evade HB 983 using a very sneaky little trick called the Kaufman language. So here's what that means. Essentially, if an HOA's governing documents don't include a clause that automatically adopts changes in state law, they can argue that HB 983 doesn't apply to them. Yeah, I know. You heard that right, guys. Even if the legislature passes a law to protect you, your HOA might claim that it doesn't count. And it gets even worse than that. Many boards are weaponizing their own bylaws. So why are they doing this, right? Well, the boards are weaponizing their own bylaws to deny residents access to records, to shut down public comment, to claim that they're exempt from oversight, to block candidates from getting on the ballot. Sound familiar? Well, it should, because this is the same authoritarian playbook being used in Washington. And this brings us to why Laura Trump just exposed everything on national television. Because while Florida residents are pushing back locally, the same collapse is happening on a national level too. Now, stick with me, guys, because I want to show you exactly what Laura Trump said about the Democratic Party's collapse and why Trump may have just handed them the shovel to bury themselves for good. So while Florida's taken down these corrupt HOAs at the local level, Laura Trump, she went national. She jumped on Fox News recently and she didn't hold back. She said 2024 was the end of the Democratic Party as we've always known it. Her words, they're done. They're finished. And she's not talking about poll numbers. She was actually talking about what we're all witnessing. A party that is defending MS-13 gangsters, blocking deportations of violent criminals, and melting down every time Trump rises in the polls. And then came the quote that broke the internet. Donald Trump sold them the shovel, and they're digging their own grave with it. Now, that's not just poetic, guys. That is literally like prophetic. Because while the left obsesses over pronouns and censorship, Trump is making real moves on the global stage. He's making moves that even Democrat strongholds can't ignore. So let's talk about it, right? Like, while Biden stumbles from gaffe to gaffe, up and down stairs, can't figure out how to get off the stage, begs foreign nations for favors, Trump has flipped the chessboard. He opened back-channel negotiations between Russia and Ukraine, and he's leaning into the Middle East. He's lifting sanctions from Syria as a peace offering to block Iranian influence. Kind of smart if you think about it. He's even tightening the screws on Iran itself, telling them straight up, look, if you build nukes, we'll take you out. Now, compare that to Biden's weak handshake diplomacy and oil-begging embarrassment from just a few days ago. Right? Leaders wouldn't even shake his hand. They would just fist bump him. So that's a lack of respect, guys. Trump's strength is keeping oil prices low, which is essentially devastating Russia's war economy and cutting off China's backdoor pipeline to Iran. Now, even more genius than that, though, Trump's pivot means Saudi Arabia is back on the table, and Iran knows that they're boxed in. So this is a strategy from a position of power, not appeasement. This is why Democrats are melting down. Because while they're stuck defending chaos at home, he's essentially commanding respect abroad. And this isn't just some foreign policy. This is setting up the next economic boom right here at home. So, of course, we got to talk about Trump's new big, beautiful bill. It's actually a tax bill. And the economic master plan that the Democrats insiders are sweating over. So, if you thought HOA tyranny was bad, wait till you hear how the left has been quietly squeezing your paycheck and how Trump's about to flip the script. So while the media is trying to distract you with circus stories, Trump's actually been laying down the economic groundwork that could collapse the Democratic narrative completely. So let's talk about this bill that they don't want you to know about. Trump's big, beautiful tax bill. It's already in motion, guys. But here's what they're packing in this thing. No tax on tips, lower income tax rates across the board, a direct hit on job-killing regulations that strangle small businesses. And don't think that there isn't something in there for Social Security recipients and Social Security beneficiaries. But when you combine all that with trade deals Trump is locking down with the UK, China, India, and even Japan, well, guys, what we're looking at here is an economic explosion that could leave Bidenomics in the dust. Now, let's be clear. Democrats, they ran this country into inflation, dependency, and despair. Trump is engineering a recovery that makes the collapse impossible to ignore. And the best part is, It's happening at the same time Florida is rewriting the rules on how people are governed locally by these HOAs. Which brings us to the bigger picture. Let me ask you something. What's an HOA board that hides its finances, silences the dissent, and essentially rigs elections to keep the same people in power? Well, it's a micro version of the modern Democratic Party. Unaccountable, elitist, drunk on control, telling you what color your door can be, while ignoring border crisis and economic pain and foreign threats. That's what's happening in Florida, and that's why what is happening in Florida matters so much. Because this isn't just about neighborhoods. This is about people taking power back. This is a blueprint for national resistance to bloated institutions that forgot who they work for. When Floridians are saying, hey, look, we've had enough. It's not just about the HOA fines. It's about ending the era of unquestioned elite control, whether it's at Capitol Hill or City Hall. Really doesn't matter. So I want to break down some of the clearest signs that the tide has already turned with you guys, okay? From falling real estate prices to insurance reforms that the media doesn't want to talk about. Because the final piece of this revolt, it's proving that Florida is not just fixing itself. It's actually leading a national awakening. Now, if you want undeniable proof that Florida's revolt is real and it's actually working, I want you to just look at the numbers, right? Remember when Florida's condo market was booming? Buyers were rushing in, prices were exploding, and people thought that the sky was the limit, right? Well, folks, that's over. By Q1 of 2025, statewide median condo prices slowed to just 2% annual growth. And in Miami-Dade and Broward counties, prices actually declined down 1.5% and 0.8%. Okay? Now, here's what this really means. People are not just buying blindly anymore. They're not just thinking that, okay, real estate prices and condo prices appreciation is just going to go up forever. People are actually now paying attention. They're asking questions. And thanks to reforms like HB 983, they're empowered to walk away from HOA traps. And it's not just housing, guys. For the first time in years, insurance companies are dropping. Governor Ron DeSantis, he just announced a 5.6% average drop in homeowners insurance statewide. A drop in insurance. Can you believe that, guys? Comment down below if you've seen a drop in your insurance this year. Or when was the last time you've seen a drop in your insurance, right? Premium decreases for 3/4 of Miami-Dade residents. That's unbelievable. That means 75% of Miami-Dade residents saw their insurance premium cost go down. That's amazing. Major car insurance rates dropped from Geico, State Farm, and Progressive. So this is clearly not just good policy. This is a course correction after years of elite-driven chaos, inflation, mismanagement. And if you ask me, I think it proves that when you cut out the corruption and you stabilize the rules, the return to power back to the people, it just basically kind of starts, it forces everything to shift. Which brings me to my final point that I want to share with you. This is not about HOAs. It's really not just even about Florida. It's about a philosophy that Americans, when informed, when empowered and united, we can crush elite systems that no longer serve us. And we're seeing it right now. Real estate regulation shifting toward transparency. You got HOA boards losing their grip. You got the middle class standing up to property abuse, inflation, weak leadership. Trump leading internationally while Democrats fall into infighting and defense mode. Well, guys, Florida is just the tip of the spear. This is the moment when homeowners say, hey, look, no more fake leadership, no more silent theft in the night, no more rule by loophole. And if it can happen in Florida, trust me, guys, it can happen anywhere. Let me know if you need to see some HOA reform in your state, guys. Let me know in the comments. So if you've ever felt powerless in your HOA neighborhood, frustrated by government, or just kind of sick of the double standards, I want you to know you're not alone. I mean, you're part of something bigger. And if you ask me, it's already started. It's already begun. The elites are melting down. They are melting down, guys. They're losing power. The people are rising up, and Florida just lit the fleet. So I'm just saying, drop your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know what your HOA horror story is. Also, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so that you don't miss out on the next update that I drop on you guys, because this isn't just the news. This is a revolt, and I think it's pretty clear that we're just now getting started. Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below.